All right, and we are live. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone from all over the world. Welcome to Well Done Wednesdays. We are on season 2, episode 7, and we are so thankful, honored, and grateful to have for our co-host this week none other than Dr. Lenika Scott, the Millionaire Mom. Dr. Scott, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us and spend some time with us today. We were just honored, honored for your yes. I didn't really, was a little nervous, right? But I just kept feeling the nudge. Just ask her.
Just
And I'm so thankful that I did. And I know this won't be a normal Well Done Wednesdays. It won't be a normal one. And I'm excited about that. You know, there have so many questions, and I just believe that when you're in the presence of someone who's done it, someone who's done the things that so many of us women are out here looking for the answers to, want to be successful, want to take care of ourselves, want to make sure we're putting God first in everything that we do, and still contributing to the household. It becomes a lot. It becomes a lot. But I thank you for being our example and
so
showing us that it can be done, that it can be done. So I'm thankful for that. Thankful for that. And so we're just going to go right in, Dr. Scott, and allow you to come in and tell us a little bit about yourself, a little of your background. We know that you started out in corporate America and some things changed, right? We know that you have 6 amazing daughters and a granddaughter. I love when you said girls love me and I love girls.
yes,
So we can see that it can be done, right? It can be done. I can't, like, there are no excuses for me and these 2 boys that you did it with 6 girls. And so
right.
I'm just thankful to you for being our example. And I know that the women, the renewed and refined woman, are thankful for you as well. And so I'm going to go ahead. Everybody knows that's been following me for any time. Know I'm a God girl. I always
Yes.
say this ain't church, but Jesus is welcome wherever I am. you know.
Hallelujah.
So
That's it.
when he come in and he show off and do what he do, we leave the door open. Okay, we leave the door
Right.
open. So
That's
I'm going to. They hear me all the time. They hear me talk every single week, and I'm going to turn it over to you and just allow you to speak to the renewed and refined woman. We are hungry, we are thirsty, we are learning to put ourselves a little bit higher on our get to do list. But first and foremost, we know that we have to go to God and seek Him and put
it.
Him first in all that we do. And so, Dr. Scott, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Before I get into, just sharing with the women of God, like, what kind of questions do you have for me? And then I'll just type them up on my end,
Okay.
and then I'll make
Okay.
sure I move forward with answering those
Okay.
specifics. Yeah.
So, our first question is, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur? How
Wow.
did you get into the whole business of, because we know that you are a multimillionaire in the
Yeah.
multi-level marketing area, that space.
Yeah.
And there are so many women that are afraid of that space, right? They may have been burned in that space, not quite understanding what it is. But you have shown us a
Yeah.
different side of it, right? You have shown
Right.
us how you get started, and how God gives you the blueprint for this thing to be
That's
able to take it and run. And it's not a scam, right? And it's not about
right.
you just making money, but I believe that you have the grace to help others
That's
to
right.
win in this area as well.
Yeah, so I got started. Well, first of all, giving honors to God, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I am a marketplace minister, so also a licensed minister of the gospel, right? Of Jesus
Hmm.
Christ.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's just be clear, right? Look, before we even
Right.
get into anything, right?
That part.
I've been walking with the Lord for over 25 years, right? I'm also a Christian author, have authored 3 books. Um, but I got started in this industry. We're in the network marketing space, but we also are millionaires in terms of assets, because what we did with our income, my husband and I, we took the money that we generated in this incredible industry, which it is a viable, legitimate business model, right? We
Uh-huh.
took that
Uh-huh.
money and we invested also in real estate. So we do have millions in real estate assets. One of the things that Greg and I, we teach our audience and our people, it's not about how much you make, but it is about how much you keep, and you are wise with it, right? And
That's
I
right.
personally believe, as a woman of God, as a kingdom entrepreneur, right, as someone who is mantled in the earth with a wealth mantle, right, to help
Mm-hmm.
unlock other people and to help also show other people, right, what is possible. Because, in heaven, the Bible even talks about like some of the streets being paved with gold. And so the thing about it is, a lot of us as women believers, right, really don't
Mm-hmm.
believe deep down inside that we are that wealth is our birthright, right? So
Right.
let's just start there. You have to believe that He, right, the God that created
Mm-hmm.
it all, right, the Alpha and the Omega, that He want you to be blessed. He does.
Right.
He wants you to be blessed, because poverty doesn't bring His name glory, right? Because
Mm.
if we're in poverty, lack, barely getting by, then we can't fulfill parts of the scripture where it does talk about giving, right? So let me put that out there. But I always was one to believe that God's hand was over my life as it pertained to business, right? I
Okay.
was always one to believe that God plan over my life was a plan, right? For entrepreneurship, right? And so as I begin to step out in faith and really start doing what it was that I felt He was leading me to do in this space, right? This whole entrepreneurship space, then more things began to unfold. He began to uncover. He began to expose more things, right? He began to take
Okay.
me deeper. And so a lot of times we want the deep, we want God to even expose more things for us, but we're not positioning ourselves even in the beginning to even start what we feel like. I'm kind of turning here. We got some movement going on in the background, right? Even start our process, right? So for me,
Gotcha.
getting into
Mm-hmm.
this space for me, because I don't believe that this space is for everybody, right? I don't believe, because
Okay.
here's the thing, we all have unique plans, these designed by God, right? But
Okay.
the thing about it is, when you begin to really go and move in the area where you feel that pull, where you feel that draw, where you feel that He is leading you to, then He began to open up even the more. Now, you mentioned even the word spam. A lot of people even thinking that network marketing, multi-level marketing, or even direct sales is a spam or even a scam. It is not.
Right.
It is still a legitimate business model. And let me just explain the business model in maybe 1 to 2 minutes, right? So
Gotcha.
the company allows you to do business with them. They have a
Mm-hmm.
product or even a service. I have a product right here. Matter of fact, April has this product. If you want some, get with April. This is a health and wellness juice. Instead of me or April even taking the time to come up with the colors, the packaging, the bottles, contacting manufacturers for the size bottles and getting the fruit, put in the juices, all of the science and back work and all of the research that is
Right.
typical when you have your own business, right? A
Mm-hmm.
company does all of the work for you, and that company allows you to market its products. Now if I post or if I refer friends or family to the
Mm-hmm.
company that allowed me to market its products, right? then
Mm-hmm.
they will pay me. All right. So if you sell a product, you make a commission from that product. That's how this stuff works. Now, me and my husband, we build teams globally, right? So we build teams globally. So when we help teach people how to do that, we get paid more. So that's what it is. It is a valuable business model. And in this space, it allows you to get started with a lower startup cost than if you were doing it for yourself. My daughter, who is in her 20s, she started her very own business last year. It took her one whole year to research products. It took her one whole year to get started. In my
Wow.
we have boxes and tape and labels and everything, right? It's a whole lab up there. Thousands of dollars in money was spent to get her business up and going. Within direct sales industry, it doesn't require all of that. So that's the difference. But both are still valuable businesses, right? So the first thing that I want to discuss today with you ladies is this. What do you feel like God is wanting you to do? What area do you feel like the Spirit of the Lord is leading you to in terms of even stepping out on faith, right?
Help us.
So we believe in God for wealth, prosperity, abundance, right? But there is a grace in a space for you to occupy in that. And as you step out in what you really feel that God is leading and directing and guiding you in, you're going to learn more, you're going to grow more, you're going to expand more. Gifts on the inside of you will begin to even emerge more. You heard when I first started, I stated that I'm now an author of 3 books. Well, really, it was the home business industry, this industry, when I started to do internet marketing and marketing online and really learning about the industry that allowed me to be able to emerge in gifts that I didn't even know I have. So the first book was a
Wow.
book breakthrough, right? But had I not stepped out, had I still been in corporate America working the job, and this isn't knocking anybody in corporate America, you
Right.
keep your job, right? If God don't tell you to leave that, then don't leave it. But for
Right.
me, I feel like had I still been in corporate America, working every day, that it was what 8 to 4, right? 8 to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
4:30-ish, right? When we get off, right? I would not have been open and tap into other gifts. So then I begin to write a book, right? Remember, you're going to learn and you're going to grow and you're going to keep learning. And then he's going to expose more. Then he's going to pull out more gifts that you didn't know that you have, right? So if it was not for that, I don't believe I would have written my first book. So now when the second book came about, and that book is on angels, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I've had that first experience because I had already written another book. Now that was easier. So then when the third book came about, now I've written 2 books. So now the third book was even easier. You see how it works, right? But it still went back to this part. Me stepping out on faith, me stepping out in faith in the area that I really feel like God was leading me to. And as I was consistent and as I was faithful and as I kept showing up for myself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I believe, well, God, if you did it for another stay-at-home mom or another woman, if you allow another, lady, right, to retire her husband, to change her, then you can do it for me. So as I stepped out on faith, right, because April wanted me to really touch in this area, you got to start as you
And when
step.
you did that first book, Dr. Scott, that first book, everything wasn't perfect, right? Every
No, no, it was not perfect. I'm so glad you said that. I did a training last night. I even talk even to this day, right? As someone who's seen a tremendous amount of success. Like I am like the income that we earned, probably, I think I had Googled it a few years, April, maybe like 1% or 2%. I know it was in my state in terms of income earned, right? Yeah, it's
mm-hmm.
right. So I shared with them last night when I was doing a training. You can mess up and still people would love you. I would mess up words on the internet. Not that I don't feel like you need to be professional, but sometimes
Right.
you mess up. That can't
We
stop.
messed up.
Even in my first book, when I looked at that book, I'm like, oh, it was a lot of errors in there. But let me tell you, it's some oil on that book. I even shipped that book
That
out
part.
in 2013. I even shipped out a copy yesterday. People still to this day are buying the book and they're getting breakthrough, but you got to start somewhere. So that's one of the first messages to you. You got to start, right?
You
You're
got
going
it.
to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to look like, is this worth it? But it is all worth it, because even when you begin to have like these major wins in your life, whether they're
Mm-hmm.
small wins or big win. Can I just share with y'all a big win that we had a few years ago?
There.
My grandmother, this is my father's mother. She's approaching 94. God said, I want you to buy your grandmother a home. I'm like, what,
Right.
God? She is like, on her way to glory. I'm
Right.
to buy her a home. My husband and I, we bought her this beautiful 5-bedroom home, right?
Wow.
Paid for cash. It was about $240,000 by the time we finished fixing it up. It came to about $250,000. We paid for the home cash. While my grandmother was about to transition, and I'm in her bedroom beside her bedside, holding her hand, and we're just worshiping in there. We're praising. Grandmother wasn't talking or anything, but the glory of God was in there. My family was in there, and I began to hear God speak. And he said, you were answering her prayers, because she prayed and she wanted to make sure that her family that was still left behind as she transitioned to glory would be in a safe place. So
Wow.
I told you to do what I spoke to you that day when I walked into my prayer room, and I said, okay, God, what are we doing today? That's how I talked to him. Like, okay, Daddy,
Right.
what you want me to do today? Right. And he
What
spoke
you
to
need me to do?
your grandmother at home. And we did it. And my husband and I agreed together and we did it. And while we were in her room, when she was on that deathbed, before she transitioned over into glory, God began to speak and say, you see why it was important for you to do this? Because you was answering her prayer. And it's still my family, right, who dwells in the home. But that's a
Right.
big win, right? So
Right.
when you make mistakes, right, when you don't get it right, when you still question yourself, right, is it all worth it? It is moments like this. But let me also take it a step further for the audience.
More. Come on.
$250,000. Now, my husband and I, during that same time, we were in the middle of building this home. Let me kind of turn you off.
Mm.
Right, y'all can see, some of the I can't show y'all everything, right? Y'all can see some of the outside. You see that, right? Some of
The
the outside.
pool. Come on.
I wish I can show them all of it, right? So while we were in the midst of building this home, which by the way, it was 2.6 million. We paid for it in cash, right? Yes, cash, no loan, no bank. That's a whole nother story, right? For another time, y'all.
Whew.
So yeah, but we were here and we were walking as we were building this home. Because I'm like, God, you want us to buy her a home? We're in the midst of
While we
building
building this home.
what's up.
Right.
But when we finished the process with grandmother, while we were still in our process, the Holy
Uh-huh.
Spirit spoke and he said, that was the tithe on this house. So
Woo.
it's already done. It's already complete because you stepped out on faith and you obeyed me.
Obedient.
You'll do this while you was yet building your own. So basically, daughter and son, it's already done, right? I said, my God.
My
So
God.
he didn't tell us when we started, this is what I'm gonna have you to do, and this is gonna be the time. See, God will give
Right.
pieces. Write this down. Revelation, it is layered many times, right?
Okay.
There's layers to revelation. Your obedience unlocks your next layer of revelation. And basically, what that means is when you step out because you're obedient to God, then the next step of instructions will happen. The next step of set of strategies will happen, right? The revelation would then begin to come. In the word of God, it talks about, study to show thyself approved, and then there's a
Mhm.
scripture, line upon line, precept after precept, right? God
Uh-huh.
didn't reveal everything at the same time, right? The Bible says
Mhm.
without faith, it is impossible to even please him. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
as you step out on faith, you're pleasing him, but now he's going to add more instructions. He's going to grant unto you more revelation. There was someone that I knew that came to me. It's someone near and dear to my heart. I'm not going to say her name, but she was like, is there another prophetic word? Right. And I was, because I'm also a prophet, right? Minister of the
Right.
word. Um,
Right.
I said, there's no new prophetic words. I need you to do what God has told you to do the first time.
Yeah.
And then I had a dream. The same thing happened in the dream. It was like, there's no new prophetic words. Do what you have been instructed to do the first time. Then the more will come. So now the more revelation. So it's layered. But the
Yeah.
layers are unfolded when you operate in obedience, when you do what he is telling you to do, when you move what he is telling you to move, when you go what he is telling you to go, when you speak what he is telling you to speak. That's how this thing works, April.
This is how it works.
That's
Woo!
the word. Yes,
Even when you don't understand it,
that's it.
do what he says.
Anyway,
Do it anyway.
anyhow, see, obedience is not contingent upon your feelings or your emotions. Like most, did you know one thing that I recently learned, y'all? Guess what I just
Hmm.
learned? So
What?
this was recently, and I shared it with the prayer call. I've been hosting a prayer ministry like for almost 15 years now, but that was also a part of God saying, let me see if you really can trust. Let me see if I can really trust.
Mm.
So I learned that God really blesses us when we really don't feel like doing what he told us to do. Let me just sit that right there.
Woo!
So when he tells you to do things, and it's really during the times when you really don't even feel like it doesn't make no natural sense to you. You're very unfamiliar. That's when he really bless you. You know why? Because that really is faith. Without faith, it's impossible to please him. So he, most of the times when he have us to do things, is when our flesh don't want to,
Hmm.
our mind don't want to do it. But when you do it and you go and you be and you become, when you know, I can't do this in my own strength. I don't even have
Right.
all of the know-how to do this thing. That's when he really show up in your life. You know, I was hosting a prayer call years ago. I got really sick. I had a lot of
Uh-huh.
spiritual attacks and battles because you know when you're a bloodline curse breaker, generational curse breaker, you get hit with a whole lot of stuff. And then even in the kingdom, when you begin to start to advance in higher realms of wealth in the
Uh-huh.
kingdom, also in spiritual territory, spiritual terrain, you also get hit with a lot of stuff. It's another whole level of warfare, right? And so I
Wow.
had got hit really bad, April. This was in 2017-ish. And 2018, the beginning of 2018, I met my holistic doctor named Dr. Ronnie DeLuce, right? She is absolutely
Okay.
incredible. And so God allowed my husband and I to fly on into Martha's Vineyard, and we were in her care for 14 days. We left our children and our home. It was a lot. But
Wow.
here's the point. So I was really sick. I mean, really sick.
Hmm.
And I was hiding it from my mom. And my mom knew at that time
Mm.
mama was living. But you know how sometimes you be like, okay, you can't get nothing past mama. But I was really
Right.
hide how sick I was from my mom. And they was like, it's something going on with Lenika because we were traveling, still doing a lot, but I was still hosting a prayer call. And I remember the Holy Spirit saying, just trust in me. Get up and still do it. Get up and still
Mm.
what God? And I remember it had gotten so bad. Well, I was literally holding on to my steps, going downstairs, going into the prayer room. It was like he was like, God was saying, I'm gonna give you enough strength. Wake up, get yourself together, go do prayer, and come back upstairs and get in the bed, right? And so I
Wow.
remember even during this time, one of the reasons why I consulted care outside of the doctor,
Regular
meaning
time.
medical doctors, is because
Hmm.
one of our daughters, she came into the room, and when she looked at me, there was a look on her face of like, oh, my mom is still here. And when I saw, like, we still have never talked about that, but I saw that look on
Mm.
her I said, I need help, right? But during this
Mm.
time, the Holy Spirit was like, I'm going to give you the strength to get up for prayer, and then you can go back and rest. Well, when I look back at that moment, most people, they wouldn't have continued. They wouldn't have, but they would not have pressed past. A lot of people won't press past. You see, that was even a season of testing for me, but it was also a time where God was even keeping me, because see, here's the thing too, when you're under extreme battle and warfare,
Mhm.
right? You need
Mhm.
those holy portals to be present in your life. And so he knew that you needed that extra coverage. He knew that I needed that extra coverage
Right.
where the
Right.
angels would still be able to come in, because anytime you pray, you open up holy portals where the angels of the Lord can freely ascend and ascend. I'm teaching now here,
Yeah.
but it still was an act of obedience. Doing all of that I just explained, it was still an act
Mm.
of obedience unto him. And so it is during those times of testing and trying, even when you're going through in your body, you're going through emotionally, but you still show up. You're going through, you're
Right.
getting attacked, you are getting hit by the enemy, but you are still showing up because God told you to show up. And God, that doesn't mean that I don't believe that there are seasons of rest. There are.
Right.
But when
Right.
he told you to do it, when he says
Mhm.
slow down, you gotta. But that's still obedience. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
I,
That
I
makes sense.
wanted to share that too, because a lot of times we don't obey God because of what's going on around us, and God is like, wait a minute, this actually is the part where I'm making and molding you for the promotion, for the elevation,
Mm.
for the wins.
Mm. That is so good. That was for me, Lenika. That was for me.
That's good.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
Mhm.
Huh. That this is so much. You've said so many things. Okay, so one thing I want to ask you, as being a mom, right, to your six girls, well, they're older now, but you still are doing several things, wearing several hats. How do
Yeah,
you make time for your self care? How do you make time just for you?
right. I have to, you know what? That's an interesting part. I have to take the time.
Hmm.
So for an example, today, right? I'm gonna. Well, wait a minute. This is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
So around the middle of the week, right?
Hmm.
Wednesday, Thursdays is my time. So like for
Okay.
today, I'm gonna go get today or tomorrow. I'm gonna go get my nails done, get my feet
Okay.
relaxed. I also love massages. So yeah, so even those types of things are still away. Another thing
Okay.
that I do is I will go like on my back porch. I have a pool, the trees are out there, the birds are chirping, and then I'll just still away by myself. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so those are just some things that I do personally. I just still away by myself. Now, as far as even the children, right? We
Hmm.
just get in there when we can, be intentional, show up. Because it is
Hmm.
a lot of girls, I'm always asking God to allow me to be sensitive, right? To what it is that
Mm.
their needs, where they're, what it is that they're doing, how it is,
Okay.
yeah, how they're doing, where they're needing help with areas of growth, maturity, and just being sensitive to those things when I feel them or when I know that they need even an extra touch. Also
Uh-huh.
doing things just specifically, right, particularly for one of the girls that you may not do for the other, but then
For the
also,
others.
yeah, and you just knowing like who needs what, and just being
Mm.
aware. One of the things that I teach about a lot is awareness. Um,
Hmm.
when you are aware, like there is a force to be reckoned with. So, like, I just even give you one example. So, one of our
Hmm.
daughters just went to, she went somewhere with family, right? And so I
Hmm.
was thinking, hey, good morning. She went somewhere with family, and then so her sister is not. So okay, so because of that, and it's my two youngest daughters, right?
Okay. Okay.
So I'm like, okay, she needs more attention now because her sister's gone. So even last night, I was thinking, okay, we need to do some stuff together today, like hang out, watch a movie.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
right, and being even aware, and that really does help. Oh my God, that
Different.
really does
It
help.
makes a
Yeah,
difference.
you know,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, it does.
Wow.
It really does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And our last question before we wrap up, because I believe that what I'm learning is self-care um, is
Yeah.
about finding out what makes us happy and
Yeah.
doing more of that.
Okay. Yes.
What is one of the things that makes you happy?
Oh my God. Let me grab this thing right here.
Come on, come on.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. Right. So,
Oh, that is gorgeous.
so I love to decorate, you all. I'm putting it back.
Ah,
I love to decorate. So
okay.
decorating like takes me to my happy place.
Yes.
Makes me smile. It's just the creative part in me, right? And so
Hmm.
that's one of the things that I do. Like change. So now, like now, just changing around, changing spaces,
Hmm.
adding.
Right.
Oh my God, it is so.
And that's just in your
Yeah,
space. In
yeah,
your space. You ain't got to go out and do nothing else, go
yeah.
anywhere else, just making your space.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I really love to do, and it does take like so that really is so refreshing, it's rewarding, it's self care for me because it does take
Right.
happy space. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and that helps us so much, right?
yeah,
Just doing that, right? And so that's what is very important to us, finding out what makes us happy
right.
and doing more of that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What is it? Ask yourself this question. I know for those of you who've been following April, you've been a part of her lives and her teachings, right? And I know the question has been asked, but I'll ask you again. Like, what is it that you like to do, right? And then another thing too, is cooking. I love to cook. If you follow me, on TikTok, you'll see some of my cooking videos. But like,
Yes,
it, it makes me excited, right? Also
right.
eating too. I'm a foodie. So I would say those a couple of things is like decor, so food and decor.
And that,
Yeah.
yeah, that is just looking at those foods. I'm like, oh my God. I tried that salmon with the honey and the brown sugar. I was like, oh wow,
Telling me, isn't
this
that good?
is so good. It is so good. I was
Yeah,
like, whoo, thank you, Dr. Lenika, for this one. So,
yeah.
Dr. Lenika, how
That
can the
salmon
ladies,
is so amazing.
hmm?
That salmon recipe is so good, y'all.
Yes,
I
y'all need to get that cookbook. Y'all need to get the
yeah. Cooking
cookbook.
with Lanika, cookingwithlenika.com. Yep, cookingwithlenika.com. It's like 100 recipes, but that salmon recipe, oh, it is so good. So
Yes. And so, how can the ladies or the renewed and refined woman, how can they get connected? How can they follow you out here in these social media streets?
yeah, so everything is my name. Lenika Scott, my first and my last name. Now, somebody did put up a few fake pages. So if it doesn't have like my the Facebook, I have like 50 something thousand followers on one, and I think
Hmm.
40 on the other thousand. If it's not that page, then it's not mine. But everyone,
Right.
Facebook, Lenika Scott, Instagram, Lenika Scott, YouTube, Lenika Scott, and also TikTok, Lenika Scott. And my website is lenikascott.com. So the name that you see on the screen, that is
Hmm.
all of my social media handles and my name for my website as well.
Awesome. Y'all take notes of that. Take note of that. Okay. That's how you do it. That is how you do it. Well, Dr. Scott, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're
I'm gonna This
welcome.
replay is gonna be over and over and over again because I was here and took notes and there are just
Yeah.
so many nuggets. I'm so thankful for you taking this time out of your super busy schedule to come and spend some
Yeah.
time with us today.
All
We
right.
appreciate you so much. And we're just excited to see all the amazing things that God is doing in your life, to see all the amazing women and families that you are helping. I'm thankful and I'm grateful to be a part of that.
Thank you. And
So
I just
thank
got
you.
one thing that I wanted to share before we close out, April. And this
Yes,
is something
ma'am.
that I said to one of my friends. It's selfish for you not to step out in purpose. You have to do it because somebody else is dependent upon your yes. So God bless you. Thank you so much, April, just for having me. And
Thank,
I look forward to connecting soon.
thank you so much.